Okay. So those will be adopted with those changes. So thanks. Our risk assessment is online, including the Spanish version of the flyer. The only thing, I have a question for Trevor. I never did see a social media post about the risk assessment being out there for review. And maybe you or Brian will be able to respond to what happened if we decided not to do it, or we forgot, or whatever the case may be.
I am sorry. Yeah, I didn't know that. I must have forgotten that. I apologize. I can work on that, pick that up again.
Yeah, so we could just extend, and it might be worth in social media posting that we're extending the comment period until a date. I'll have to look at my calendar. Let's see here. Maybe we could put, do you think you'll get to it this week, Trevor, or next week?
Certainly, I can try and get it done this week.
Cynthia, can we go over your calendar with the group of where we're at, and if that's on the agenda, to be able to go where we're at and where we're going with it?
Yeah,
That'd be great.
I'm gonna, oops, let me get out of my show so I can get into that document. Okay, is that big enough for people to see? Everybody see that? Might be a little delay. Yes, okay, thanks, Austin. So we're trying to do, the risk assessment was posted in April. We're going to try to keep it open until May. And it was posted, we just didn't get that social media aspect completed. So that's where this public review is. I'm trying to complete the mitigation strategy. So once we're done with today's meeting, I can try to wrap that up and we can get it posted for review this probably in the next week or so. I'll have to work with Trevor and Brian and Zach on that. So that's where this public review for June is. And then in the meantime, I will be trying to wrap up the other chapters and get other things completed so we can get it finished by July, end of July, and submitted to Oregon Department of Emergency Management. I put this third public review in there, if everybody can see that. Usually when the plan is completed, we put it out there for the public just to look at, even though we're still submitting it to Oregon Department of Emergency Management. You know, and if we're able to post it, if I get it done and posted, we might be able to post it early July. So if there were any comments, we could get them incorporated before we submit it to OEM. But it depends on how I wrap everything up. Because July, we're also going to just try to finalize everything and get that submitted to OEM for review. Does that help, Brian?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that.
So I'll figure out, maybe I'll talk offline with Brian and Trevor, depending on when Trevor can get a social media post put out there, how long we want to keep that open for, because if we do get any comments, it'd be good to have time to incorporate those. I'm also going to be making some other changes to the risk assessment, and then Austin has provided some comments, which I appreciate, that I want to incorporate as well. I mentioned that once we wrap up the mitigation strategy, we'll get that online and posted as well. I'll have to, it's not going to be as long as the risk assessment, and I'll have to see if there's a flyer of sorts, if that's even something we do for mitigation strategy, or if we'll just have an English version of it. I don't know if we have something we can convert easily to Spanish, but I'll meet with Brian and Trevor separately, and Zach on proceeding with that part of the public engagement, the community engagement. Let's see what else. I think that was it. Oh, Trevor, I noticed I haven't seen all the most recent meetings videos online yet, so I didn't know where you were with that.
Yeah, I haven't been able to attend the last few meetings, so I will look into that and get those posted as well as I can.
Okay. Okay, so today I want to work through our mitigation actions, and hopefully this is large enough. I'm not going to put it into PowerPoint presentation mode. So we have 26 actions, mitigation actions, which is great. We've got some new ones. We've got also some repeat ones. So we want to try to prioritize them. And when prioritizing them, we want to consider a couple things. We want to consider our goals from 2023. And if you noticed on the agenda, I listed all the 2023 hazard mitigation plan goals that we established, and whether or not there's a mitigation action, if we want to prioritize, looking at a particular goal or hazard. We might want to consider prioritizing based on the hazard vulnerability assessment, which I have, on that screen right there, if you can see that, where we've got extreme heat, air quality, and winter storm is high risk level. We've got earthquake, flood, wildfire, water emergency, medium, high, and then down from there. So that's a consideration when thinking about prioritizing our actions. But we've got a lot. We've got 26, so we have some other things to consider. So we also want to consider, we could consider the ease of implementation. Is the prioritization based on the ability to initiate and/or maintain interest in the planning process, particularly if support is tentative? An example of this might be an initiative such as immediate attention to hazards and hazards and risk that costs a little, not a lot, and can reach a larger community. We might want to consider multi-objective actions. These would be based on how some actions may work toward achieving multiple community goals. An example would be an acquisition and a demolition project that can lead to new open space that provides additional natural storage for floodwaters. This solves repetitive flooded structures issues, and then creates a hiking path, for example. We could consider time based on how quickly actions can be accomplished versus actions that may take longer to obtain necessary approval or funding. This might be an example, implement both riverine and coastal flooding actions, but address the riverine flooding first in areas where homeowners and businesses have already expressed interest in reducing flood damage. And then there's also post-disaster mitigation consideration. The extent of damages, political will, and access to state and federal mitigation funds can drastically or dramatically alter the feasibility of implementation in a post-disaster scenario. An example might be an acquisition and demo of flood-prone structures and relocation of residents outside of a floodplain. So there's some considerations when looking at how to prioritize your mitigation actions. And there's ways of voting on how to prioritize. You can do multi-voting, numerical ranking. You can have 2 or 3 level ranking system, a high, medium, low. What might be easiest to us, because there's a lot to look through, is in 2017, the Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan for Salem took a 2-level ranking approach. It was based on the evaluation of high impact hazards, resource availability, and some other things. They separated out priority actions. These were due to resource constraints that the city listed. Due to the resource constraints, the city listed a set of high priority actions to focus attention on an achievable set of high leverage activities over the next 5 years. And then the rest of them were in the action item pool. And this is a list of lower priority mitigation actions. Most of these actions carry over from the prior version of the plan. This expanded list of action from 2017 is available for local consideration as resources, capacity, technical expertise, and/or political will become available. That would be my suggestion, but we can definitely look at other ranking systems when it comes to prioritizing our mitigation actions. Let's see if I have anything else on that. That's a bit to consider, but to think about. I was going to bring up the list of mitigation actions and we can walk our way through them, but I wanted to get everybody's thoughts on prioritizing. How to prioritize. How would you like to prioritize? This is your plan, but we also know that we've got a lot of actions before us to review.
I think it makes sense to continue to have a set of priority actions that we think are realistically achievable, and then have a pool of other actions, especially for ones that are kind of maintenance actions. So there were a whole host that were keep doing X, Y, or Z, or make sure you consider X, Y, or Z when such and such occurs. And so those aren't necessarily like a top tier that we need to actively dedicate time and resources to, but they are things that we want to, have in there. So I kind of like that 2 bucket approach.
Thanks, Austin.
I also think it has to be something that's achievable. We can't put it so far out of our realm that we're not even able to achieve it. That kind of sets us up for failure as well.
So the way the 2017 pool was set up, they looked at what was achievable over the next 5 years. So is that what you're, something like that, Ryan? Or just achievable in general?
Well, I think in the time frame, yeah, in the next 5 years, and then we just need to rank them with what we can do and what we can't do. I mean,
Mhm.
if it's not achievable, I mean, it's just a good idea.
Anybody else want to provide feedback?
I
So
would
what were the
say,
two?
Oh.
Sorry, what were the two priority classifications in the last version?
Just I think they were just priority, and then priority actions, and then action item pool. So the rest of them were in a pool.
Got it. Normal and priority.
Yeah.
I also think it's worth noting that in our current action list, we only have 4 of them that are 5, 6, 7. We only have a handful that are actually time limited. A lot of them are just listed as ongoing. So I don't know if that helps us prioritize things. Or maybe we need to take another look at the timeline for some of them.
I have the list up. Hopefully you guys see that. You're not going to see the whole list. If it's easier for you to pull up the list that I sent along, so we can work along this together, do so. But you're right. We've got Austin. Let's see. We've got 1. Yeah, 7. You're right. Is that what you said? 7. Some
Yeah.
of them are 0 to within the next 2 years, and some are 3 to 5 years out. So that's one way we could look at it, is if there has a timeline on it, to consider those as priority. I like the idea of, if for the ones that are just maintenance ongoing, make that the action pool.
I think maybe at least as we go through, that's something to keep in mind, and it can help us make a quicker decision maybe.
Okay. Anybody else want to give your thoughts? I know you guys are all excited about this.
I think keeping with the existing priority structure is clearly the easiest way to keep it organized.
Okay.
There'd be benefits to being more detailed and trying to really line things out, but then I think that could indicate a higher level of organization on when things will actually, an order in which things will be achieved.
Yeah. Okay, so let's work through the list and think about priority or normal is how whoever said that, it was either Zach or Trevor. So I'm going to start with the multi-hazard actions. The first one was submitted by Public Works. This is a new one. Identify, map, and periodically revisit network of critical routes. Identify street segments prone to flooding. Consider bridge age and condition within critical routes. Or is that a new one? Actually, let me see. Yeah, that's a new one. All right. We've got 0 to 2 years on that one. Does that seem achievable? This came from Was it Anthony? I can't remember who, but this is, the lead entity will be Public Works.
That was in the previous version, and it was one of the 5 high priority actions.
No,
It
'cause I
seems
have a-
like maybe that was a rewording of what we had
Yeah.
before, which
Yeah.
was
I
just
think-
I think it
identify
was.
them, and I think we had landed on our arterials were the priority transportation routes, and so it's identification was basically done, so this was maybe a next step.
Yeah, this was a rewrite. You're right, Austin. So it sounds like the first one from last time, but it's just it's a rewrite. And there might be a little bit more detail on the worksheet that I received from it. And I can pull that worksheet up if I need to. Don't have them up right now. Thanks, Randy, for the thing in the chat. So if people are more willing to use the chat to give feedback, feel free to do that. I'll try to monitor it. Is this something that's achievable in 0 to 2 years, or should that year timeline be changed? Would we consider this a priority or just the action pool, normal action?
I think it's
Randy?
achievable, but it's also something that has to be maintained as infrastructure conditions change. Especially the bridges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it needs to be maintained as an ongoing action. But I'd say it's a high priority action because it impacts the ability to respond to any disaster.
Yeah.
So to me, this seems like maybe the 0 to 2 years part is actually identifying the street segments that are prone to flooding. And then ongoing maintenance after that. So I agree that this could be a priority one.
So I've got 3 of you saying, I'll put in high. I'm going to move on. Multi-hazard number 2, coordinate with Capital Planning Commission. We decided to keep this in there. It's an ongoing one. My thinking is that it's not a high priority because that's where it was before, but wanted to get your feedback on that. Okay, Austin wants to keep it. I'm gonna put normal in here, even though that's, or we could go low. Maybe I'll do low. It'll be easier to type. Anybody else before we move on?
I agree with that ranking.
Thank you. Okay, multi-hazard number 3, maintain an inventory of the number and type of critical facilities within the community that are at a reasonable risk for each hazard type. This is an ongoing one. This, I believe, was carried over from the last. Yep, we changed this one to maintain. So, and what we were saying before, This would be in a low category or the normal. Everybody agree with that?
I concur.
Okay, got a few of you saying yes, thank you. Number 4, maintain public outreach materials for all natural hazard risks addressed in the NHMB. Materials should include a mitigation action residents and businesses can implement to reduce the risk of natural hazards and where they can obtain more detail, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, I think this one is a carryover. It is, we changed develop to maintain. So I would suspect that that will stay in the pool or in the normal. If you agree, thumbs up or just say yes.
And Cynthia, can I ask, in discussion, I felt there was strong feeling that this was, I don't know if low versus normal, others might feel different, but I thought in the discussion, it might have been bumped up a little bit higher than a low.
Well, I was putting low just for the ease of typing.
Yeah,
It'd be normal.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. I'll put normal in there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Mitigation number 5, action number 5. Ensure the development code updates consider specific hazards when updating the Salem code for mitigating the location of future development in identified mapped high hazard areas. This is an ongoing one. It's a carryover from last plan.
Is it all right for me to, I know we had a chance to comment previously, but is it all right if I drop a bit of wordsmithing in the chat for this one? It feels a little redundant to me.
Yes, please do.
Okay. Feel like that wording is a little bit cleaner, but I do think it should remain normal.
Did I capture it all? Let's see. I'm just doing this for my own. Oh, whoops. Oh, okay. Ensure unified development code updates consider specific hazards and help to mitigate risk for future development in identified or mapped high hazard areas. That's good. I'll keep that one as a normal action pool based on our discussions. Mitigate multi-hazard number 6, strengthen or replace unsafe public structures, especially facilities critical to disaster and post-disaster planning and response. This is an ongoing one that carried over last time. We just made a couple changes in the lead entity and partner organizations. So unless you guys think otherwise, I'll put this as in the normal action pool.
I guess I would just say I think this is a really important thing to do. And I think that the city's working on it. but I do think it's not something that's, you know, has a specific endpoint. So I don't know.
It wouldn't, it's okay to put, I mean, just because it doesn't have a
Yeah.
timeline, we could still list it as high priority.
I think it's something that the city's been, or that council has been prioritizing in terms of upgrading the library, in terms of upgrading the civic center. So I think it's an area where we are actively making progress too. So
What if we added identify and then strengthen or replace unsafe public structures? Because I'd say that's pretty important for us to continue to figure out what
Yeah.
are our weaknesses in the community.
I agree with that.
Were you thinking identify?
And strengthen or replace, and plan to strengthen or replace. I think this is a high priority, but it's also something that is talking about, you know, millions of dollars of funds to actually accomplish that in most cases.
I do think us making it high puts more of an emphasis on it though versus normal.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea to make it high.
Yeah. And so that's why I wanted to put identify in there so that we could actually, you know, there is something achievable that we can work on. That's not just, oh, well, that has to go out to a bond in order to accomplish any of the actual strengthening or replacing.
Yeah, so give them some movement and some recommendations on what they could be doing to move
Yeah.
forward. That's
Yeah.
great.
Great, thank you. That's good discussion. So are you fine with the way I worded it? Identify and plan to strengthen or replace unsafe public structures, etc.
Yep.
Seems good. Okay. Multi-hazard number 7, maintain alert and warning systems. This was a carryover where we changed, it used to say, I think, continue developing. And now we changed it to maintain alert and warning systems.
I think this is a high, and could we add something to where not just maintain, but continue to educate in there? Because no matter if we maintain it, if people don't know what it is or know how to even have it on their phones, I think that's a kind of a choke point.
About maintain and improve alert and warning systems.
This is Heather. I might also add testing, kind of periodic practice runs for staff. I don't know how we would word that, but it feels like it's easy to use, but it's something that we should continue to kind of just practice.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Albany uses their Everbridge system for major incidents on a regular basis. If a main street or main artery in downtown is covered by an accident or a fire or police activity, they use it. And so that's how they practice. They practice that for the main event. So when they actually have to use it, they know exactly what they're doing. So it would be great if we could implement something like that and do it on a regular basis more than once or twice every couple of years.
I like that. So maybe it could be maintain, improve, and test Salem's alert systems, blah, blah, blah. I do think including something about educate the public at the end, just a new sentence that's continue to educate the public about the system's value.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think, I thought there was, maybe it's up here more. Sorry if I'm going too fast here. You know, part of the maintain public outreach materials for all natural hazard risks. I was thinking that some of that might be grouped in there with the warning system, but I also can see separating it out like that. So, okay, so if you want to change my wording, I'll let me know. But we'll go with that. Thanks. Okay, multi-hazard number 8, continue to follow and enforce regulations pertaining to hazard-resistant construction methods. Let's see, this was, I believe, yeah, this was from last time, but we reworded it. It used to say enhance hazard resistance construction methods, and we changed it to continue to follow and enforce regulations pertaining to hazard resistant construction. That's where this one is today.
Seems like a good one for the normal pool.
Austin? Any other comments?
I concur.
Multi-hazard number 9, ensure city planning documents and regulations align with regard to natural hazard mitigation and the actions in the natural hazard mitigation plan, particularly state planning goal number 7. Let's see, what did we do with this? Had different wording and we reworded it. I think Austin helped with the rewording, so I kept Austin's rewording. It used to say integrate the natural hazard mitigation plan findings into planning and regulatory documents and programs, including comprehensive plan. So thanks to Austin, we've got what it is today. That would seem like a normal one to me, but what do others think?
I agree.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks, Austin. Thanks, Zach. I'm just now looking for your thumbs up. Thanks, Brian. Okay, multi-hazard number 10, participate in assessments of short and long-term needs for sheltering, access, and functional needs, populations for all hazards. That is a carryover. We did not reword it. It's an ongoing action.
I had a question about what sheltering access means. Is that like sheltering after a disaster, or is it more generally for, say, people who are living without shelter currently?
A good question. I could pull up the worksheets. Let me find them, see if we have an answer there. Oh, that's not it. The wrong one. There we go.
Can I ask also if, is some of that defined when you say short and long term? Is that answering some of that question? The short term would be a disaster or something of short term nature versus long term. Just asking.
Yeah, I think that could, I don't know. I think potentially it could be like short-term needs in the sense that certain people could, yeah, be immediately affected, and we can mitigate some of the risk by just getting people sheltered or by just making sure that they have access to food and water. or you could mitigate some of the risk by, say, building housing. If we're talking about unsheltered people.
So hopefully you can see this. So I started editing the worksheets. And you can see where I've added words or made some edits. I really haven't changed much of anything else. It looks like this was a coordinated effort from the Marion County plan. They chose to keep it on their plan, the one that just got adopted this year or last year, whenever it was. And this is all that it really says. If you can read that, I can zoom in a little bit. It doesn't really talk about short-term or long-term. That was just in the title.
Because it includes Salem Housing Authority and faith-based organizations and nonprofits, that makes me think that maybe we're talking about our unsheltered population. But
Yeah,
again, I'm not sure. And I guess now I would want to ask Marion County what they think it means, but
yeah. And they
I
may have
guess in
been
general,
stumped.
that one could be clarified more so that we understand what's being committed to. But I think potentially it could be an important thing to do so that we do know our needs. And maybe it's less ongoing and more like do a needs assessment. But then again, I'm not sure what it's saying.
Yeah, and I don't know this. So this was new in 2017. It was a new action. I think I put Salem Housing Authority in there. I don't know where I got that information, but maybe from another one. We could reevaluate this one or reword it if somebody has the time to look at it. I don't know.
I'm gonna call Greg Walsh. I'm gonna see what Greg says. He's working at the county today.
Oh. Are you
So
calling him right
maybe we
now?
can, maybe we can circle back
Yes,
to this
I
one.
am right now.
Okay. What were you gonna say, Austin? Circle back? If he gets well, he's talking to Greg.
Yeah, maybe we can work on the next one.
Yep. Okay. So multi-hazard number 11, create a network of neighborhood. This one is new. Comes from the, what is it, the Climate Action Plan? Has a 3 to 5 year. Pretty sure this is that one. Yep, new. Those resilience hubs.
This one seems to me like it could be a high priority because it is a concrete step that could be taken, and it could provide a lot of benefit across a lot of different hazards.
Yeah.
I was thinking that as well, except that I think it's gonna take a fair amount of planning. In fact, I was wondering if we want to change create to plan for in this context. And then I think it's something that's going to require a significant amount of funding potentially as well. But I agree, it feels like it should be
So change that to plan for a network. Yeah, that. Might ease off the stress a little bit. Yeah, and it's going to take a lot, but it's at the same time, I can see it being a high priority. Anybody else? Oh, is Brian, is your hand raised?
Yep, so I got an answer. Functional needs are people with disabilities. So not homeless.
What about the sheltering access?
It's sheltering access, meaning people that need ramps, people that, so we can't get them upstairs, people that's, and they need to have access to medical care or power. So for the people who are need oxygen and so forth.
So this one's more about providing the infrastructure for people living with disabilities in the event of a disaster.
100%.
Got it. We should make that really clear in the
Yeah, why
Yes.
couldn't they just said that in the actual description?
So do you want to try to consider rewording that title? And
yes.
Are we talking needs for sheltering access for functional needs populations? And then have you captured it?
I think we need to be explicit about what sheltering access means, because I never would have come up with infrastructure for supporting that population. So maybe instead of sheltering access, infrastructure to support access for functional needs populations in the event of a hazard.
I'm just trying to look at your, I might have to get that out. If you want to try to regurgitate that into the chat, that'd be great. Otherwise, I will, I will try to get that off of the
I'll work on it here.
yeah,
by.
transcript, because you're good at that wordsmithing. So now understanding, now with that understanding, and we'll reword this. Do we feel this is a high priority or just a normal priority? The way that.
With ADA laws, I would consider that a high priority.
Anybody else? Well, Austin, I don't want to ask Austin because he's trying to wordsmith for me. But I kind of get what you're saying, Randy. Okay. We'll come back to that if we need to. Multi-hazard number 12. This is a new one. Came from, I think, the community action. No, one of the plans. Engage faith communities, social service agencies, nonprofits, and neighborhood associations in building community resilience. That has a timeline of 3 to 5 years.
This one to me feels like it could also be a high priority and something that we could start potentially sooner. I don't know if it could be that 0 to 2 year time frame.
Do you want
I
me to
agree
change?
with, I
Oh, go
agree
ahead.
with Heather that it could start soon. But I think it may take more than just a couple years to build that capacity and those partnerships, but yeah, I think this is an important thing to do and build more partnerships, and the community should, start yesterday.
Do you want me to change the timeline? This is what let's see. Midterm, I could change it to short term.
Sure.
No pressure.
Well, it's it's on Salem Emergency Management, so I don't know if we even have hired the person who's in charge of it yet, so.
Yeah, and if things change, it
We
changes.
have. He starts 20th of June.
Oh,
So,
that's great news.
yes, trust me, it is great news.
Well, I'm happy to be volunteering him for this immediate action.
Well, the good news is new blood means they'll hit the ground running. So,
Okay. Austin, so did you, okay, participate? Is that your new, let me get that.
Yeah, that was my wordsmithing. I'm not sure participate in makes the most sense. Maybe that should be conduct instead of participate in, but otherwise.
How about that?
Thanks.
Okay, well, hazard number 13, analyze how low, historically low inequities may make certain populations more vulnerable to inadequate transportation options. In the event of an emergency, incorporate best practices. This was a new one for this year with a 0 to 2 year timeline.
Yeah, this one came from me. This is already happening. We're already devising metrics to score everything, like all projects going forward, to incorporate equity measures. So I'd say this one's already happening.
I put in there high.
Yeah,
Because it's happening, might as well give ourselves credit for it, right?
yeah, definitely.
Anybody else have thoughts on it?
Well, so I think we'll go through a lot of these and want to make a lot of them high. And I think we should go ahead and do that. But I would suggest that maybe once we get through all of them, take another look at all the ones we marked as high to maybe reduce it down to like a half dozen or so. Because if we have, we have like 30 actions altogether, 25 to 30 actions.
26, yep.
Yeah. So, if we have 26 actions and we have 12 of them marked as high, it kind of lessens the impact of those being marked high. And so I kind of would like to, at the end, think of it as they're all high, and then these are the highest 5 or highest 6, wherever there seems to be like a natural grouping. Just a suggestion for us to take another cut at the end.
Okay, a good idea. Thanks, Zach. Multi-hazard number 14, coordinate with the Council of Water Leaders. This is an added one. It's a new one, it's ongoing. And it's a fairly new, as I understand it. I think it was Jennifer that told me about this, Council of Water Leaders. Just started, I think, last year. But we could put this as normal. Pool, unless somebody objects. And look, I got some thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, multi-hazard number 15, conduct strategic public outreach and update information on a website to provide residents with information about proper tree care. So this one, let's see, was this oh, okay, this was the under windstorm and winter storm, and we deleted those two and made it a multi-hazard. So it's not a new one. It just was moved to this section.
And I don't know.
Is there a typo in this? Should it say encourage planting of climate appropriate trees?
Oh, yeah. This is an ongoing one. I'm putting it in as normal unless you think otherwise. Austin gave me a thumbs up. Anybody else? Thanks, Zach. Okay, move on. Drought. They are in the process of updating the North Santiam Watershed Drought Contingency Plan. This was a carryover from the last one. It said last time update, oh, it said complete and implement the North Santiam Drought Contingency Plan. We changed it to update and continue to implement. Or it's going to be started this year. I can't remember the details, but this is kind of a carryover, but reworded. Now this has a timeline of 0 to 2 years, but is this something that is a high priority? Maybe not, maybe. What do people think?
I don't know.
Oh, huh.
It's very important, but we've been working on it and involved with it for a number of years, so I wouldn't mark it as a higher priority.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate your knowledge on it. Drought action number 2 and 3 are new. Let's see. One comes from the Salem Climate Action Plan. The other one is the Water Management Conservation Plan, something like that. Number 2, continue to promote water conservation to protect potable water supply and reduce impacts during drought through existing conservation programs and plans. This is an ongoing one. Might be a normal, but what do people think? Everybody okay with normal? Okay, thanks, Randy. Austin and Brian. Okay, figure that's good. Oh, Heather, Zach, perfect. Okay, drought number 3. Expand the water conservation content on the website with an emphasis of providing more educational links and more information on water efficient irrigation practices. Update water conservation brochures. Right, period after that. 0 to 2 timeline, but is this a high priority or normal? Randy says normal. Thanks, Brian. Brian, everybody says normal. Thanks, guys. You guys are so exciting. Okay, earthquake. So our earthquake actions, we got rid of 3, kept 2, but reworded 1. Earthquake number 1, inventory, identify, inventory, and mitigate critical facilities and utilities that require seismic retrofit. This is ongoing. Any thoughts on this first one?
This has a lot of overlap with the one that we talked about
Yeah,
earlier.
which I
Which we
think we
have,
ranked as high.
I mean,
Yeah.
either way, like,
and so this would be a pretty significant portion of fulfilling that other one that we already ranked as high. So I don't know if that means that this should also be high, or this one doesn't need to be high because it's a portion of one that is high. I could be convinced either way.
Yeah, and one thought is there was one plan I was looking at where they decided all their multi-hazard actions were high, just because it covered multiple hazards. And then they ranked their other hazards differently. So I mean, if you took that approach where the multi-hazard one that we ranked high, you could keep that one high, thinking, okay, it's going to cover more than just earthquakes. And then the earthquake action would be, you know, normal in the action pool. That's one approach. Or you could mirror the two and have them both high.
that on us.
I guess I feel like having them both high is, I think when we talk about those critical facilities and strengthen or replace unsafe public structures, I think to a large extent, this is what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So,
I thought
you know,
was
it seems
that you were talking about. I didn't know.
seems like we should keep it high.
Yeah.
So Randy in the chat says he agrees that for both of these, he believes normal for the reasons mentioned earlier of expanding our high list. As that,
And
so
I,
we've got, go ahead.
oh, the reason I said that was, again, we put that high on the one earlier under the multi-hazards. If you're kind of repeating that, and that's reducing the emphasis of the high on the first one we put.
Hmm.
Just along that thought. You know, as far as earthquake preparedness, this is somewhat normal also in that everybody's doing this or trying to, as money and time allows.
Yeah. I've hit, I think people are flexible on this, but I have heard both high and maybe we'll come back to that. Oh, whoops, I don't want that. Okay. Earthquake number 2, stay informed with school district's plans. Brian wanted to keep this on here, and it's an ongoing one. I put in here normal, kind of going along with what Randy said. If anybody wants to change that to high, let me know. Let's see, we got a thumbs up. Austin, thank you. Okay, we'll keep it as normal. We'll move on. Thanks, Zach. Flood. Let's look at the flood. These were from last plan. These are carryovers. We just did rewording on the second one. These are ongoing. Nothing special, but to update, maintain, and implement flood actions by way of the floodplain management plan in accordance with FEMA's community rating system guidelines, and then improve and maintain the city's Salem's NFIP community rating system. I think I added maintain in there. Yeah, it needs to be improved. Knowing that Salem might be as high as they go in the CRS rating. I put maintain in there thinking that you may improve it other ways, but I don't know for you whether or not you're committed to improving it higher in the rating system. So I didn't necessarily want to just have it as improve. So I think we added maintain for that reason.
Great.
I'm going to put those as normal. Is everybody okay with that? Normal seems fine. Thank you, Austin. And Brian, great. And all your thumbs up. You guys are great. Okay. Landslide. So let's see, landslide. We reworded, just slightly reworded both of these. We took one of them off the list and reworded. We put maintain the LiDAR data, and then I think we changed this one a little bit. Number 2. What did I do? Oh, instead of proposing comprehensive plan and land use policies, we just incorporate updated data into the comprehensive plan. So just subtle changes. These are ongoing. And if we stick with our theme, this would be in the normal pool, and this one would be in the normal pool. But if you disagree.
So I want to do a little wordsmithing on this one. I don't think we want to update the comprehensive plan to incorporate this type of data. I don't think that's the right
Okay.
way for that. So I'm gonna drop some wording in the chat for you.
Perfect. And you had said something along those lines before, but
Yeah,
we just didn't get it changed.
yeah. Well, I think that was for a different action. And maybe I just didn't catch this one before. So incorporate and utilize updated data when reviewing development applications. Because that's really when we're going to use those maps.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that, Austin.
Like that.
Yes,
Yeah,
thanks.
just change that last sentence. Okay, perfect.
Otherwise, I'm fine keeping it normal.
What? Oh, come on. Just doing this for my own so I don't forget. Okay, we added this volcanic action, volcano event action. This actually came out of City of Albany's actions, and Brian liked it, so we put it on here. Evaluate the impact of ashfall out on HVAC systems and critical facilities. City would benefit from quick sheet on the topic, guidance to contractors for maintenance. 3 to 5 year timeline on that. Any thoughts on high or normal? Brian, I don't know if you want to, what your thoughts are on this and your new staff person coming in.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's not gonna, we have volcanoes surrounded by them, but I think it's a simple thing that we can do as a community. So I thought it was a great thing to add into, because it's, I don't think we're gonna have lava and rock, but the ash is going to be a problem, and this is one way to mitigate it.
Are you thinking a normal priority on this?
Yes.
Since it's
Normal.
I think because based on our hazard vulnerability assessment, volcano is pretty low in the risk rating. But in the event that something does happen, it's going to impact you. So we'll do normal. Okay, and then wildfire, let's see, was this one? So this is a carryover. This one was in there before, it's ongoing. Just conduct wildfire prevention outreach. As outlined, well, it's interesting, as outlined in the community wildlife protection plans. Now those plans, Polk County has expired. I don't know if they're in the process of renewing it, and Marion County, I don't know where they're at on it, but it's still probably worth having as a reference in there. We could list that one as normal if everybody's okay with that.
From a firefighter standpoint, you know, I 3 years ago I would have said normal, but we've been having more and more wildfires, and they're been getting bigger and bigger. And this year is the first year we're pushing money to educate the people in the Salem suburban and Polk County in the rural areas. So I think it's normal. Maybe normal's fine right now, but I think as these fires get bigger and as it gets worse and worse, I think it just needs to be revisited.
Any other thoughts? Thanks, Brian. Okay, we'll keep it as normal. You made it through. Awesome. Okay, so do we want to look at our highs again, like Zach proposed? I'm just going to highlight them so we don't lose track of them. And okay, we've got one on the fence, the earthquake one. We have 7, possibly 8 high ones. Is that something we want to reevaluate, or do you think that's fine having those keep those as high?
How many actions do we have?
26.
So just over 25% on high.
Yeah, the only one we haven't decided on is the earthquake. That kind of mirrors one of the multi-hazard ones.
I would say to make the earthquake one normal, since it's already part of a high action. And then the inequities one, since that's already being worked on. You know, I kind of think of the high as like, these are the really important ones to get to work on. And so if that one's already being addressed, you know, it might be one to switch back to normal.
Am I on the right one? The analyze how historical, okay.
I think that one is important.
Well, they're all important.
I know, but I think this one is like, I think that from the standpoint of our organization and our council, they're prioritizing working towards more equitable outcomes. And I think that the value of this analysis is worth keeping it high, regardless of whether it's already happening. But I'm open to other people's perspectives.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of it as, you know, like I said, I think all of them are high priority, but like what are if we had our 5 top ones that we said, like, these are the things that we're going to put the most effort into getting started in the next year or something like that. What would those top 5 be? Or 6, but the number doesn't matter so much, but
I mean, I guess you could take the perspective of, do we want to get it started or do we want to get it finished? Which I think is really the thrust of prioritizing them. I don't know.
because otherwise I would look at the watershed protection ones. I think there's an argument to be made that that's the most important thing that we do at all, because without drinking water, the city goes away. But we're already working on it for a variety of reasons. That's why we left it as normal.
Oh, that's that one. Okay. I was trying to find that one under drought.
Anthony, it's your thing. Do you have an opinion on this?
I'm fine with it being either or. What I can say is that politically, if a city councilor sees that as normal, they're gonna ask why. And they're gonna push for it to be changed to high. It is a really, really big priority now. Yeah, I see what Zach's saying, and he has a point, and we don't want to have too many that are high. But just thinking about what city council would say, we will be asked to change it. I'm 100% certain of that.
Well, how about we look at it, what is ranked high and who's the lead entity on each high one? Let's look at the workload approach as well. And
So
timeline.
what's that?
And timeline.
So your multi-hazard number 1, the critical routes, identify. This is public works. I think I've got public works and emergency management.
Okay.
0 to 2 years.
Okay.
Multi-hazard number 6, identify and plan to strengthen or replace unsafe public structures. That's public works. As the lead, that's an ongoing one. Number 7, maintain, improve, and test Salem's alert and warning systems. That falls on emergency management. Ongoing. Number 10, conduct assessments of the short-term and long-term needs for infrastructure to improve access to critical facilities and support systems for functional needs, populations. Thanks, Austin, for the wording. In the event of a hazard, that's falls on emergency management. That's ongoing. The resiliency hubs, neighborhood resiliency hubs, that's multi-hazard number 11. That falls on several divisions. If I've got public works, emergency management, and community services as the lead entity, 3 to 5 years. Engage faith communities, social service agencies, nonprofits, neighborhood associations in building resiliency. Falls on primarily emergency management, 0 to 2 years. It's high. Oh, that's number 12, sorry. Number 13, the inequities, historical inequities regarding transportation, that's public works, 0 to 2 years.
Okay.
And then the earthquake one, we just changed to normal. So that's
6. So we're down to 6 now.
let's see. Yeah. Oh,
I
seven.
think-
Seven.
I think 7 is just fine. If there's like for instance, the emergency announcement system, that one is a given. That's not time. That's just a little bit of effort on a regular basis. So that one needs to be high, but that's not a lot of work. So that's just consistency. The other ones I think should remain high, and I agree with Anthony what he's saying. And I would rather not get into a disagreement or a debate over one of them when if it's already being worked on, leaving it high is just fine because it's already being moved forward.
Yeah, if it's going to start, a debate or something, then I think we all agreed that it's of high importance. It was just whether it got to that top one, and if that builds more support from council and the community, then that's good.
Yeah. And we hope the council will look at this as we wrap things up. Okay, great. So we'll keep those 7 as high. I changed the earthquake one to normal. And I think that is it. I'll make those other changes and get that finished up. Let's see here. Okay. I need to see my caption. Okay. Thanks. Great. That was a great discussion. Appreciate that. I just wanted to go over, so our next meeting, we're going to talk about plan implementation and just some final things. It's probably going to be an easy discussion, and then anything else that I need to wrap up. But part of the plan implementation, I just want to show you the grants. I think I missed a couple last time I pointed these out. So these grants right here require the FEMA approved and current natural hazards mitigation plan. So our hazard mitigation grant program through FEMA, this is a grant funding available after a presidentially declared disaster. This provides funding to the state, local, tribal, and territorial governments so they can develop hazard mitigation plans and rebuild in a way that reduces or mitigates future disaster losses in the community. The BRIC grant program, or Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities. This will support, this can be prior to a disaster, doesn't require a disaster declaration. Will support state, local communities, tribes, and territories as they undertake hazard mitigation projects, reducing the risk they face from disasters and natural hazards. It gives states, local communities, tribes, and territories funding to address future risks to natural hazards, including ones involving wildfire, drought, hurricanes, earthquakes, extreme heat, and flooding. The Fire Management Assistance Grant Program, or FMA, is available to states, local, and tribal governments for the mitigation, management, and control of fires on publicly or privately owned forests or grasslands, which threaten such destruction as would constitute a major disaster. The dam safety one, the rehabilitation of high hazard potential dam grant program. Salem doesn't have that issue right now. But if there is a high hazard dam that's in Salem's control, the primary purpose of this program is to provide financial assistance to the states for strengthening their dam safety programs. It provides technical planning, design, and construction assistance for in the form of grants for rehabilitation. Now, City of LeGrand has a grant approved for a high hazard potential dam. However, they do not have a current natural hazards mitigation plan approved by FEMA. So we're trying to get them, in order to allow them to get their grant money, we're trying to get their plan approved. So don't want to be in that situation. The public assistance grant, this is a grant funding available after a declared emergency or major disaster. provide supplemental grants to state, tribal, territorial, and local governments and certain types of private nonprofits, so communities can quickly respond to and recover from a major disaster or emergency. And then the Safeguarding Tomorrow revolving loan fund is a low interest loan. It goes through the state, and the state will then issue loan funds to local governments to provide hazard mitigation assistance to reduce risk from natural hazards and disasters. So this list of grants and loan programs require a current approved adopted hazard mitigation plan, which is what we're working on. There, of course, there are a lot of other grant opportunities out there, but I just wanted to show you the list that require the FEMA, the natural hazard mitigation plan approval. And our next meeting is June 26th, sorry, 1:30, 3:30. Hopefully we can discuss mitigation strategy and plan implementation. And I'm going to stop sharing here. If I can just figure myself out. And oops, sorry, I'm trying to do something here. And I can't figure it out. Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry about that. Doing too many things at once. So that is all we have for today. Does anybody have any comments, concerns, questions?
Can we just
Nothing,
confirm the
crickets?
next, meeting, I think is for the June 24th?
Is it June 24th or 26th?
I'm looking right now, hold on. June 26th at 1:30.
Okay.
Yep, June 26th.
And is your new staff emergency manager going to be on board by then?
Yes, he'll be here. He better not request vacation 6 days after he comes on board. So yes.
Yeah, that would be good. Okay, that is it for today. Thanks for a great dialogue regarding the mitigation actions. And if I have anything else, I'll reach out to you guys. And otherwise, I'll see you in a month.
Right, and Cynthia, I'm still waiting for the GIS stuff on the buildings for the mapping of the critical infrastructure. So
Oh, okay.
as soon as I get that from GIS, I'll get that to you.
Okay,
All right.
that's fine. Great, thanks everybody. Have a good rest of the day.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Cynthia.